Congratulations
Thank you.
on this, the most amazing film. And to break the ice, can you please tell us what Naples, New York is about and your character's role?
I'm Omar Miller. I'm in a film called Napoli, New York, directed by Gabriel Salvatores. I play a character called George. The film is about Italian orphans, two Neapolitan orphans, who decide to stow away on an American merchant ship to form a new life in America. After World War II, Italy was left in destruction, and there was a lot of damage done, and a lot of people lost their lives during the war. And these two kids are fighting for everything that they get, including daily meals, and they see an opportunity to better themselves with the allure and the promise of the American dream. So they take a chance. And my character, George, is a cook on the ship that they hide on. And I'm one of the characters who finds them. And also, the main reason that they come onto the ship is to get what I owe them. But I don't want to spoil anything.
How did you feel when you read the script first time?
You know, so I read the script the first time. I had to try to remember my little bit of Italian because there was an English translation, and sometimes it translated well, sometimes it did not. But the thing that rang true was the heart. You could feel the humanity in the script. You could feel that this was potentially something that was going to be relevant today, even though it was a film and a script from a long time ago. And I loved what George meant to the kids. I loved what the characters, how the people in this film who are marginalized form a bond. And that bond kind of represents the family that you choose as opposed to the family that you're born with. Because if you're blessed, you have family that you're born with, but you don't always get along with them. It doesn't mean that it's a guarantee. But what ends up happening is along the way of life, we choose friends that turn into family, or life through its circumstances puts us in a position where we have to determine who truly is our family. And this is what you see in Napoli, New York.
What do you hope the audiences will take away from watching the film?
You know, for me, the beauty of this film is in the fact that these lessons of the past have a chance to teach us something today before we go too far. With the world in the state that it's in now, and the chaos and this, that, and the other, I think that everybody could use some hope. And this film, I pray that the audience takes away from it hope and encouragement, because this movie is about underdogs and the underdog being able to accomplish something when the face of people telling them that they'll never be able to do it. These two children are fantastic in the movie. They're great actors, and the performances that Salvatore's got from them, he is a real visionary. I'm so happy I got to work with him.
How was your experience working with him?
I was great, and you know, this is the second film that I've done in Italy, second film that I've done with Pierfrancesco. I had forgotten all of my Italian by the time we started filming this one, but thank God I know a bit of French, and so does Gabriele. So he doesn't speak much English and I don't speak much Italian, but we were able to connect with one another. And when I saw the film, I said, wow, it really came together, man. It's different than what I read. And usually as an actor, when the movie is different than what you read, you're upset because you feel like you got tricked. This time it was different than what I read, and it was great. It was better than what I read. And he said something so wonderful. He said, yeah, we made it to jazz. I said, yeah, we did. And so, you know, I loved working with him. He's very creative, super collaborative. And the thing that I love about him is he's an artist. He's making films at this point of his life for something much deeper than money, much more important than money. I love that. It was an incredible experience.
And what does it mean for you to present the film here at the Red Sea Film Festival?
Let me tell you something. I am so proud to be the person to represent the film here. I'm happy to be in Jeddah. It's beautiful outside. Everyone has been very welcoming. Just before the film showed, Gabriele sent me a text and he said, "I'm glad it's you that's there representing our film." And I had other members of the cast also send me encouraging texts. The fact that I'm here presenting the film, I missed the premiere in Milan, yet I'm here for this, it goes to show the kind of film that was made. Because it could have been Tomas who played the captain. It could have been Pierfrancesco who played Garofalo. It could have been the children. And this is the kind of piece that this was. Obviously, it could have been Gabriele. And this is the kind of film that this was. It was a collaboration. And everybody cared so much about making the film and doing right by the name of Fellini being attached and doing right by Gabriele Salvatores being attached and doing right by the representation of the Italian culture. So the fact that I'm here to represent all of that, it's an honor.
And how did you become attached to the project initially?
You know, strangely enough, the film that I did in 2007 in Italy is called Miracolo a Sant'Anna, and it's a Spike Lee film, which is strange because Spike is the president of the jury here. The man who was the first assistant director for the Italian unit became a friend of mine. I got a phone call from him. We kept in contact over the years, but I got a phone call from him randomly who said, "I just read a script. It's with one of our favorite directors here in Italy. And when I read this character, I told him, I said, wait, I know George. Let me connect you with him." And they sent me the script, and then I got on a video conference with Gabriele. And next thing I know, I was on the plane, and we were filming in Trieste and Croatia and Napoli. It was great.
Amazing. Do you have any more exciting projects coming?
Oh yeah, I got a whopper coming next after this film. I have a film coming out on March 7th, 2025 with Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther and Creed and Fruitvale Station, and it's his latest collaboration with Michael B. Jordan. And this film it's great because this one is totally different from Napoli, New York. This is definitely an adult film. This is an R-rated film that is a part horror, part musical, all brilliant. So I'm very excited about that one that's coming too.
Can you tell us about your experience with casting in Hollywood and how it changed over the years
For sure.
someone with diverse background?
For me, the casting process in Hollywood has changed primarily because of the pandemic. Because now there's less in-person meetings, and I speak with other actors all the time about sending in audition tapes and you don't know where they go. And, you know, the jobs that I do mostly are from directors that already know me or have been connected with me in some way. But even having a meeting over a Zoom is different than going face to face and having a coffee with someone and having a conversation. So the process has changed in that it's become more digital, and I'm not a big fan of it because I think casting is a huge portion of making a successful movie, because you need to make sure that you have the chemistry. You need to have chemistry with the director, need to have chemistry with the other actors, et cetera, et cetera. And now it's a different process. It used to be you go into a room full of strangers, you try to convince them that you're the right person to be on their team. You know, it has to do with how many followers you have on Instagram and all of this other stuff that has nothing to do with making art. And thank God I'm at a point where a lot of directors know me and producers know me and people think of me for different things.
If you go back to working on Naples to New York, can you tell us about reuniting with Favino?
So, you know, the first day that I got on set was the day that they shot the scene when he goes to Joe Agrio, the newspaper man. That was the first day that I visited set. It was great to see Favino because I hadn't seen him in years since we promoted Miracle at St. Anna. And one of the reasons I went was I wasn't in the scene, obviously, if you've seen the movie. But one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure we were all going to be in the same movie with the same acting style and the same cadence. And, you know, in that scene, they're both so big. Oh, the kids, they're gonna love her. Agnese, her sister, and she, oh, they're gonna cry. We make all of them cry. You know, and it was great because that style fit exactly the style of the kind of Cinema Paradiso and Bicycle Thief and etc. that Salvatores was going for. And for me, it was great to come to work that day just to watch, just to witness, which is why then I could then, when you first see George, it's, I understand. You understand? Okay, I'm gonna show you. And I show him the thing and the thing. This is the animal in the bag. This is all stylized. And what I saw that I loved is it all came together so beautifully, in my opinion. And based on every way that the audiences have been responding, the movie is doing great business in Italy right now. Every screening that we've had, people have responded very well. So much of that has to do with the synthesis of all of the different things that make a good film. You know, art is not an exact science. And you have to give Gabriele credit for that, and you give Favino credit for that. How great is he? He's known as a, you know, a powerhouse dramatic actor, and he's hilarious in this movie. He's so funny in this movie, you know, and yet he still has that signature authenticity of those heartfelt moments. Like when he grabs the basket with the baby clothes off of the armoire, and you're like, oh, it hurts. You see, you're like, oh, wow, they're going through something, him and his wife, you know? So whenever you get to work with people who are at the top of their field, it's a blessing. And for me, this is the second time I've got to work with Favino, and hopefully the third will come soon.
With your role of George, did you change something from the script? You said that it changed a lot.
The role isn't different, and the story isn't different. What was different was how he put the film together. And that is a credit to the editors. I think it's a credit to the way that the film was shot. Our cinematographer was fantastic. Diego is actually Neapolitan as well. And the camera operators, one of which that I worked with on Miracle at Santa Ana, fantastic. These people are just real craftsmen. And I say that in the most complimentary way. The story didn't change. The film was different than I expected once I finally saw it, but it was different in the best way.
And you were happy with your character's development?
Yes, yes. I feel like the story revolves around the children, so I'm a big fan of servicing the story. You can fill in the blanks with George, but this wasn't George's movie. You know, this is the story about these children, and yet you get to see a lot about George, about where he starts and where he ends. He starts in desperation to sell his thing, and then he becomes a drunk. And then he gets bailed out by the kids, and once he gets bailed out, he recognizes that he needs to be a better person. And you watch him develop in how he helps the children. You watch him develop in how he becomes a better person, to the point where during the trial, he makes it a point to get to the courthouse, you know, even in the face of the discrimination of not being welcome. And I love that analogy with George, who is from the United States, not being welcome at the bar, not being welcome in the same way that these kids are now not being welcome as foreigners. I love that. It's very powerful. And I tell you, when I watched the film at home in the United States, and my mother, who was 82 years old, watched it with me, she loved the film, which meant everything to me. But also, to show you the expertise of Salvatores, she identified with the children. And she identified with the children because they're the same age as her. And she remembers a lot of the stuff on how it was when they get to America. She remembered a lot of that. And it was a wonderful, her feedback afterwards was exactly what I wanted. Because I think this film fits for everybody. I think there's somebody for everybody to identify with. There's lessons for everyone to see and learn about the modern day. And the film is fun. You leave this movie with hope. You leave this movie encouraged. And I think that that's very important right now when people are really going through tough times.
What do you think the main message of the movie?
Hope. I think that the message of the film is hope, and I think that it's also a reminder. I think that it is important to be encouraged in the face of the impossible, because these kids made a trip that was impossible on its face, but it actually was a journey that would shape the rest of their lives. and this is something that happens to each and every one of us in life. At the end of the movie, it's funny, at the end of the movie is a note that's at the beginning of the script. That was an interesting choice they made, and that was that between 1885 and 1950, about 19, 20 million Italians left Italy to never return. Italy, like a lot of different countries right now, has the low birth rate. It's very interesting to see now that Italian culture is celebrated all over the world. We're in the Middle East, we're in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and you can go to some of the finest Italian restaurants here. That wasn't always the case. And so one of the things that this film does very well is it points out the otherism that's happening now. When you look at they and them and not being with us or like us, and the danger of that, the danger of exclusion, you know, because at some point we're all going to need some help.
What do you think about the very ending? These kids.
I love it. I love it. I think it shows that the kids are together. It also shows that, again, about the family you choose and how important that is. Sometimes you meet them when you're a child, and sometimes the family you choose you meet when you're an adult. And, you know, I love films like this that don't force feed you the answer. You make your decision on what you think about the ending of the film.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.